two pregnant women, one rapper, and a fight that could have ended in a delivery room before the baby's shower. Floyd Mayweather's daughter, Yaya Mayweather, has allegedly attacked NBA YoungBoy's pregnant wife at a private family event, and the fallout is pure chaos. We're talking lawsuits, public humiliation, and a love triangle that refuses to die. But here's the kicker. Yaya is also pregnant by YoungBoy. Two women, two pregnancies, one man, and a fight so messy it could have been ripped straight from the wildest episode of reality TV. Except this one happened in real life behind closed doors with some of the most famous names in hip-hop tangled in the middle. It all went down at what was supposed to be a private, family-only gathering. The air was thick with tension before the first glass was poured, but no one expected it to explode the way it did. Out of nowhere, Floyd Mayweather's daughter, Yaya Mayweather, allegedly stormed across the room like a woman possessed, locking eyes on NBA YoungBoy's current wife, Jazen. And here's the twist. Jazen is pregnant. Heavily pregnant. Witnesses say Yaya didn't stop to talk, didn't stop to think, and definitely didn't stop to consider the fact that she's also carrying NBA YoungBoy's child. No, she allegedly lunged straight in, closing the space between them in seconds, fueled by something deeper than jealousy, something more like war. Chairs scraped, gasps filled the room, and before anyone could process what was happening, it turned from a tense face-off into a full-blown confrontation. Sources claim there were raised voices, hands thrown, and a level of raw, unfiltered rage that made people take a step back, unsure of how far she was willing to go. And the wildest part? This wasn't two women fighting over a man in theory. They were fighting over the same man's unborn children. Two pregnancies, overlapping timelines, and one rapper who somehow managed to plant himself right in the center of a collision course. Friends close to the couple say YoungBoy's face went from shock to fury in a matter of seconds. By the time the dust settled, insiders were already whispering about lawyers, cutoffs, and an end to whatever tangled grip Yaya still had on him. But if you think this came out of nowhere, you don't know the half of it. It happened somewhere you'd never expect a full-blown scandal to break out. A small, intimate family gathering. No flashing lights. No paparazzi lurking outside, just a handful of people who thought they were about to enjoy a calm, private event. But calm didn't last long. Those in the room say you could feel the shift in energy the moment Yaya walked in. She wasn't smiling. She wasn't mingling. Her eyes locked on Jazen like she'd been waiting for this exact moment. And that's when people realized both of these women were pregnant. One carrying NBA YoungBoy's unborn child as his wife. The other carrying his child as his ex, or maybe not so ex, depending on who you ask. That overlap alone was enough to make anyone's pulse quicken, but sources say Yaya wasn't there to talk it out. She closed the distance in seconds, her voice already raised before she even got within arm's reach. It was like watching a storm form out of thin air, one witness recalled. 1 minute, everyone's talking over plates of food, and the next, the whole room goes quiet because Yaya is coming in hot. People close to the situation say Jazen stayed seated at first, visibly taken aback, one hand on her stomach as if to shield her unborn baby. But Yaya didn't slow down. She leaned in, allegedly letting out a string of words that no one could quite make out over the growing commotion, before taking it up a notch. She didn't just yell. She stepped in, another witness claimed. It was all in her body language. She wasn't about to back down. Within seconds, chairs scraped back and a couple of family members moved to get between them. And yet, despite the separation, Yaya reportedly still tried to push past the human wall. People in the room say it was a mix of shouting, tears, and enough raw emotion to make even bystanders shake. For some, the moment felt dangerous. Two pregnant women, both under extreme stress, standing just feet apart in a room full of witnesses who couldn't believe what they were seeing. It wasn't just a fight over a man, one insider insisted. It was like years of jealousy and betrayal boiling over right in front of everybody. By the end, Jazen was whisked away to another part of the house. YoungBoy was pacing and snapping at anyone who came near him, and Yaya was still fuming, her voice echoing down the hallway. If this had been an isolated outburst, maybe it could have been written off as heat-of-the-moment drama. But for anyone who's been following Yaya and YoungBoy's history, this scene felt like the inevitable next chapter in a long, toxic saga, one where the emotional stakes have never been higher and the damage might already be done. To understand why that private family gathering exploded the way it did, you got to rewind a few months back to when the jealousy first started bubbling over. People close to Yaya say she had never really let go of NBA YoungBoy, not completely. Even after he married Jazen, even after he publicly moved on, she still believed she held a special place in his life. And truth be told, YoungBoy didn't do much to convince her otherwise. Between late-night calls, private meetups, and the occasional over-the-top gift, he kept that door cracked just enough for Yaya to believe she wasn't entirely out of the picture. But the calm, if you can call it that, didn't last. When word got out that Jazen was pregnant again, friends say it hit Yaya like a gut punch. She was already privately dealing with the fact that she herself was expecting YoungBoy's child, and to have his wife carrying his baby at the same time, that wasn't just messy. To Yaya, it was an outright betrayal. Insiders say she started venting to anyone who would listen, convinced that Jazen had stolen YoungBoy from her, and equally convinced that the marriage ring on Jazen's finger didn't mean anything. She was in full spiral mode, one source claimed. Every little thing Jazen posted online, a song lyric, a baby bump picture, a photo of YoungBoy smiling, Yaya took it personally. She'd call people up in the middle of the night just to talk about it. The tension got so bad that friends began distancing themselves, worried they'd get dragged into the crossfire. Social media didn't help either. Fans and bloggers caught wind of the overlapping pregnancies and ran wild with it, posting side-by-side photos of Yaya and Jazen's growing stomachs, speculating about due dates and calculating just how close together the conceptions must have been. It became a running joke online, Irish twins but with different moms. But for Yaya, there was nothing funny about it. Every post, every meme, every comment felt like a public reminder that she wasn't the only one carrying YoungBoy's legacy. That's when the shift happened. According to people in her circle, Yaya went from hurt to angry, from jealous to territorial. It wasn't just about YoungBoy anymore. It was about what she felt she was owed after years of sticking by his side. She kept saying, "I was here first," an insider revealed. She genuinely felt like she had seniority, like she had the right to claim him even if he was married. And as the weeks went by, her frustration began to harden into something more dangerous, a resolve to make her presence known, no matter who had to see it. So when she learned she'd be in the same room as Jazen at that family event, Yaya didn't walk in as a guest. She walked in as a storm ready to break. And by the time the two women came face to face, the months of jealousy, late-night phone calls, and simmering resentment had already done their work. All it needed was a spark, and it just so happened that spark arrived in the form of a swollen belly, a wedding ring, and the one man who could set both their worlds on fire. If the scene at that family gathering felt intense, it's because it wasn't the first time Yaya Mayweather's emotions over NBA YoungBoy had allegedly tipped into dangerous territory. Long before this latest altercation, there was the 2020 incident that made headlines everywhere. The night she was arrested for stabbing another woman over the very same man. Back then, it was YoungBoy's Houston home, not a quiet family event. The other woman, Leatra Jacobs, was rumored to be romantically involved with YoungBoy at the time. According to police reports, Yaya arrived unannounced and found Leatra there. Witnesses claimed the argument escalated in seconds. Words turned sharp, voices rose, and then Yaya allegedly grabbed a kitchen knife. The confrontation ended with Leatra being rushed to the hospital for emergency surgery due to severe injuries. The story blew up instantly, with mugshots, leaked details, and social media debates dominating timelines for weeks. Yaya was charged with aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, a serious felony that could have put her behind bars for years. In the end, she pled guilty and was sentenced to 6 years of probation instead of prison. But the incident left a permanent mark, not just on her record, but on her public image. And that's what makes this latest alleged attack on Jazzen feel like deja vu, different location, different woman, but the same man, the same tension, and the same explosive outcome. It's as if every time Yaya feels threatened or replaced in YoungBoy's life, something inside her flips, and she moves from verbal confrontation to physical action without hesitation. It's like she sees red and nothing else. One source who's known her for years said, once that switch flips, there's no talking her down. Even if fans notice the parallel almost immediately. As soon as rumors of the fight with Jazzen hit the blogs, old videos and articles about the 2020 stabbing began resurfacing online. People started drawing side-by-side comparisons. Two women linked to YoungBoy, both confronted by Yaya, both moments ending in chaos. The narrative was hard to ignore, a pattern of jealousy, violence, and an unwillingness to let go. What makes it even more striking is that, after the stabbing, most people expected Yaya to finally distance herself from YoungBoy. But instead of creating space, the opposite happened. He put her front and center on the cover of his album 38 Baby 2. Fans were stunned. Was it a sign of loyalty? Was he rewarding her? Or was it just another way to keep her tangled in his life? Whatever the reason, it sent a message to the world, and maybe to Yaya herself, that her presence in his life wasn't over. Now, years later, with 2 pregnancies in play and another confrontation allegedly turning physical, it's hard not to see the current drama as a continuation of that same storyline. The names and dates change, but the script stays the same. YoungBoy gets involved with someone new. Yaya feels replaced, tempers flare, and someone ends up on the receiving end of her fury. And if history tells us anything, it's that these moments rarely end quietly, and they never, ever end for good. If there's one thing people agree on, it's that Yaya Mayweather didn't spiral in a vacuum. Every messy chapter, every jealous flare-up, every public blow-up has one common denominator: NBA YoungBoy himself. And if you look closely, it's clear that he hasn't just been a passive figure caught in the middle. He's been the gravitational pull keeping Yaya in orbit, even while publicly moving on with other women, and even while married. Insiders say that after the 2020 stabbing case, most assumed YoungBoy would put distance between himself and Yaya. That would have been the logical move, especially with a felony charge hanging over her head because of him. But instead, he did the opposite. He put her front and center in his music, mentioned her in songs, and let her show up in his life at moments that made it crystal clear she wasn't just the ex. And then there were the gifts, lavish, headline-grabbing, impossible-to-ignore gestures. We're talking diamond jewelry, luxury cars, designer wardrobes. One source close to the situation said, it's like he would toss her these big, flashy tokens every few months just to remind her she still mattered. And every time she tried to pull away, he'd reel her back in with something new. Even after marrying Jazzen, YoungBoy allegedly kept those strings attached. He was still taking private calls from Yaya, still inviting her to certain events, still finding ways to make her feel special. To outsiders, it looked like mixed signals. To Yaya, it probably felt like proof that no matter what title someone else held, she was still irreplaceable. And then there were the public appearances, rare but strategic. A single photo, a quick sighting, or a casual mention on social media was enough to send blogs into overdrive. Every time that happened, fans would speculate. Are they back together? Was he ever really done with her? That speculation wasn't just background noise. It was fuel. It kept Yaya's name linked to his, and it kept her emotionally invested in a relationship that was never truly over. Multiple people in their circle say YoungBoy knows exactly what he's doing. He's built a life where multiple women feel tethered to him. And in Yaya's case, that tether seems impossible to cut. He's the cause and the enabler, one insider claimed. He creates the situations that make her jealous, then turns around and gives her just enough attention to keep her from walking away. It's a cycle, and it's been going on for years. That toxic loop is what makes the latest incident so predictable and so dangerous. Both Yaya and Jazzen are pregnant with his children. Both have been given enough of his attention to feel significant, and both have been placed in situations where they're bound to cross paths. When you mix that with YoungBoy's history of keeping women emotionally hooked, it's no wonder sparks turned into a firestorm. In many ways, YoungBoy is the architect of his own chaos. He built the love triangle, he fed it, and now he's standing at the center of the wreckage, watching as the women in his life clash in ways that could have lifelong consequences. And if history is any guide, he's not likely to change the blueprint anytime soon. If there's one thing the internet knows how to do, it's turn real-life chaos into a virtual circus. And when news broke about Yaya Mayweather allegedly attacking NBA YoungBoy's pregnant wife Jasmine, while also being pregnant with his child herself, the online floodgates burst open. Within minutes, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok were buzzing, not just with outrage, but with the kind of savage humor and sharp-edged commentary that only social media can deliver. On Twitter, or X, depending on who you ask, one post racked up over 200,000 likes in less than 24 hours. Yaya still fighting over YoungBoy in 2025 is like rewatching the same bad season of a show that should have been canceled. Another viral tweet pulled no punches, pairing a photo of Yaya from her 2020 court appearance with the caption, "Different year, same mugshot energy." And then came the memes. TikTok was flooded with clips of women pretending to be pregnant and ready to square up, set to YoungBoy tracks. Others stitched the news with that infamous love and hip-hop security scene, except the security was edited to be Floyd Mayweather himself, holding Yaya back. One user even deepfaked Floyd onto a bouncer's body, captioning it, "When you're the champ in the ring, but can't stop your daughter from swinging in real life." But the dragging didn't stop there, especially after someone dug up Yaya's recent Instagram story, showing off a massive diamond ring. In the post, she had proudly tagged YoungBoy, seemingly flaunting the fact that, ring or not, she was still relevant in his life. That post got screenshotted and reposted everywhere, with comments like, "Sis, that's not a wedding ring. That's a pacifier for grown women." The real turning point for online ridicule came when a clip resurfaced from one of YoungBoy's old IG lives, where he had jokingly referred to himself as Yaya's masa during an argument, a word with heavy, ugly historical baggage. Fans quickly revived it as a hashtag Masa Mayweather, mocking her for still serving a man who has publicly embarrassed her before. The tag trended for hours, with users posting side-by-side photos of Yaya, smiling, next to YoungBoy and photos of historical servants, dripping with brutal sarcasm. Instagram gossip pages like The Shade Room and Hollywood Unlocked fanned the flames by posting side-by-sides of Yaya and Jasmine's baby bumps with the caption, "Same man, same year, same DNA test incoming." The comments section was pure chaos. Some defended Yaya, claiming she was just fighting for her family, while others accused her of fighting for a man who's already moved on. One of the most liked comments read, "If this ain't the definition of generational wealth gone wrong, I don't know what is." By the end of the night, the story wasn't just trending. It had become a cultural moment. Every meme, every hashtag, every dragged-up piece of history made one thing clear. The internet wasn't about to let Yaya live this one down anytime soon. And if she thought the fight was bad, the PR beating she took online might have hurt even more. Insiders say this time, NBA YoungBoy isn't just annoyed, he's furious. Not the kind of performative anger we've seen in messy IG lives before, but the real ice-cold kind that has people whispering he might finally be done with Yaya for good. Multiple sources close to the couple claim he felt blindsided and embarrassed by the altercation, especially since Jasmine is carrying his child and was allegedly put in harm's way. One insider put it bluntly, "YoungBoy has put up with Yaya's drama for years, but this crossed the line. This wasn't just a public scene. This was dangerous. The stakes are higher than ever. Both women are pregnant, tensions are sky high, and YoungBoy's image, already controversial, is taking another hit." The question now is whether he'll finally sever ties with Yaya, or if history will do what it's always done with these two, repeat itself until there's nothing left to salvage. Because if his past behavior is any indication, showering her with gifts, letting her hang around, inviting her to public events, he's as much a part of the loop as she is. But insiders are split. Some say he's ready to cut her off cold, while others swear that if she calls, he'll answer. To really understand this mess, you have to zoom out, way out, and look at Yaya Mayweather's upbringing. She's the daughter of Floyd "Money" Mayweather, a man whose life was built on power, control, and never losing. Growing up under that shadow means you learn early that winning is everything, even if what you're fighting for doesn't make sense to anyone else. In many ways, Yaya's public battles aren't just about NBA YoungBoy. They're about an emotional cycle, chaos, reconciliation, and escalation. She's been caught in this loop before, and not just with men. From her 2020 stabbing case to public feuds with other women, it's like she's drawn to conflict when she feels someone is threatening what's hers. And that's what makes this more than just gossip. This is a generational drama unfolding in real time. A woman shaped by a father known for combat, entangled with a man who thrives in chaos, and locked in a rivalry that's spilling over into family and unborn children. Which leaves us with the million-dollar question. If this is how it's going while they're both pregnant, what happens after the babies are born? Will Yaya's connection to YoungBoy finally shatter under the weight of this latest scandal, or will the cycle reset, ready to explode all over again? Because if history has taught us anything about these three, it's that endings are never really endings. They're just the quiet before the next storm.